Picture a family whose very name evokes wealth, power, and mystery. The Rothschilds emerged from the cramped Jewish ghetto of 18th century Frankfurt to build a banking empire that spanned continents. Over generations, their influence grew so vast that their surname became synonymous with money and influence. But alongside the factual history lies a fog of legend and conspiracy. Did they really engineer wars and financial panics from behind the scenes? Or are these merely myths cloaking a remarkable true story? Today, we'll uncover the origins of the Rothschild dynasty, their rise to global banking prominence, the scandals and legends that surround them, and the reality of their modern legacy. In the mid-1700s, the Jewish part of Frankfurt was an unlikely starting point for a financial dynasty. It was overcrowded and hemmed in by repressive laws. Here, in 1744, Mayer Amschel Rothschild was born to a humble family of traders. Young Mayer apprenticed at a small banking house, learning the trade of coin dealing and currency exchange. A turning point came when he caught the eye of the aristocracy. He became a trusted coin dealer to Prince William of Hesse-Kassel, one of Europe's wealthiest princes. Mayer's knack for finance and reputation for integrity grew, laying the first stones of the Rothschild business. Mayer Rothschild understood that in order to truly thrive, he needed to think beyond Frankfurt's confines. He set a bold strategy in motion: do business with Europe's reigning houses and father as many sons as possible to expand the business across borders. Mayer and his wife Gutla indeed had a large family, 5 sons who would become the 5 arrows in the Rothschild coat of arms. Each son was trained in finance and sent to a major European capital to establish a branch of the family bank. This was the birth of an international banking network. Amschel Mayer Rothschild, 1777 to 1855, stayed in Frankfurt to manage the home bank and maintain ties with German clients. Salomon Mayer Rothschild, from 1774 to 1855, established the Vienna branch, becoming a financier to the powerful Habsburg Empire. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, from 1777 to 1836, went to London, where he founded N.M. Rothschild & Sons and soon dominated finance in the city of London. Carl Kalman Mayer Rothschild, from 1788 to 1855, headed to Naples, planting the family's flag in Italy's banking and even winemaking sectors. James Jacob Mayer Rothschild, from 1792 to 1868, settled in Paris, founding the Rothschild Frères and integrating into French high society. This deliberate dispersion of the brothers created a web of Rothschild banks in Europe's key financial centers by the early 1800s. For the first time, money could move across borders with speed and security, all in the family. The 5 children remained tightly coordinated, sharing information and pooling resources, and it was this unity that would prove vital in the years to come. As Europe was torn apart by the Napoleonic Wars, most banks struggled to keep up. Moving money across borders was risky and slow. Gold had to be physically transported through war zones, often at the mercy of bandits or enemy armies. The Rothschilds changed the game. They built a private financial network using their 5 banks spread across Europe. Instead of sending gold from one country to another, they used trusted couriers to carry letters written in secret codes. These letters contained instructions for moving money on paper, using credit notes and financial promises between their branches. Here's how it worked. If the British government needed to pay its army stationed in Austria, it would give the funds to the Rothschild Bank in London. Then, without moving a single coin, the Rothschild Bank in Vienna would pay the soldiers in Austrian currency. The 2 branches would settle the balance later behind the scenes. This was revolutionary, like a 19th century version of a wire transfer. It was fast, secure, and entirely controlled by the Rothschild family. While other banks were still relying on couriers hauling gold through dangerous terrain, the Rothschilds were quietly transferring massive sums in days, not weeks. The Rothschilds didn't take sides for ideology. They were bankers to both victors and vanquished, so long as loans were secure. They financed Britain's allies fighting Napoleon and also extended credit to restore war-torn economies afterward. With the fall of Napoleon and the dawn of peace, the Rothschilds shifted focus to peacetime finance. They became pioneers of international government bonds, arranging loans for nations and facilitating massive infrastructure projects. During the 1820s to the 1840s, they funded the construction of railroads crisscrossing Europe, invested in mines, and backed new industries, fueling the Industrial Revolution. Their financial empire adapted with the times. By the mid-19th century, the House of Rothschild was at its zenith. It was said that no other family in modern history had ever amassed such a private fortune. They were the richest family in the world, effectively operating as the world's bankers. Their wealth and reach were so great that they could single-handedly stabilize national economies. The influence of the Rothschilds extended beyond finance into politics and society. In 1822, the Austrian emperor ennobled all 5 brothers as barons for their services, marking the family's acceptance into the ranks of European nobility. In Britain, Lionel de Rothschild made history in 1858 as the first Jewish member of parliament. His son Nathaniel later became the first Jewish peer in the House of Lords as Baron Rothschild in 1885. These were groundbreaking milestones, signaling that the once humble family from the Frankfurt Ghetto had risen to the highest echelons of society. Meanwhile, the Rothschilds lived in a style befitting their wealth. They built grand estates and palaces that astonished the nobility of Europe. One example was James de Rothschild's Château de Ferrières outside Paris, an enormous chateau completed in 1854, said to be the largest of the 19th century. Its lavishness was legendary. Yet, for all their wealth and prestige, the Rothschilds remained intensely private and tight-knit. Mayer's descendants followed his edicts, retain family control of the banks, and avoid excessive risk. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories falsely portrayed the Rothschilds as shadowy puppet masters controlling global finance. From causing financial crises to manipulating the weather, these baseless claims resurfaced whenever people needed a scapegoat. The family's prominence and Jewish heritage made them easy targets for myth-making, but their influence was real. In the late 1800s, Baron Alphonse de Rothschild helped stabilize post-war France with major loans, while Lionel Rothschild enabled Britain's swift purchase of the Suez Canal shares in 1875. These acts highlight the family's genuine power, remarkable enough without embellishment. Their lasting wealth also raised suspicion. Yet, their endurance came not from secret plots, but from careful planning, smart investments, and strong family ties. As one commentator put it, what sets the Rothschilds apart is not just their wealth, but how long they've kept it. By the early 20th century, the Rothschild fortune had been divided among dozens of descendants, and the family's absolute financial dominance had receded. The 2 world wars dealt harsh blows. The Rothschilds of Austria, for instance, lost their bank and many properties when the Nazis came to power in the 1930s. Several family members had to flee Europe, and priceless art collections were looted by the Nazis. The French and British Rothschild branches survived, albeit under great duress. The Paris Bank was nationalized by the socialist government in 1982, and the London Bank had to evolve with the changing times. After World War II, the family regrouped and reinvented their businesses to fit the new era. The London branch, N.M. Rothschild & Sons, shifted from traditional merchant banking into an investment bank, specializing in advising on mergers, acquisitions, and other complex deals. In Paris, Baron David de Rothschild rebuilt a new French bank almost from scratch in the 1980s after the original was seized, eventually regaining a strong position in European finance. In a historic move, the British and French Rothschild family firms merged in 2003, reuniting under the banner of Rothschild and Company for the first time since the 1800s. This reunited Rothschild and Company remains a significant player on the global financial stage, offering investment banking, asset management, and wealth management services worldwide. Today, the family's holdings span many sectors: finance, real estate, energy, mining, and even winemaking. The name Rothschild stands for a legacy of financial innovation. As we look at the modern financial world, many practices we take for granted, international wire transfers, multinational banks, government bond auctions, owe something to the template the Rothschilds set centuries ago. Their story is intertwined with the rise of modern capitalism itself, from lending to kings to funding railroads to advising corporations today. The Rothschilds have continually evolved. The story of the Rothschilds is one of ambition, strategy, and lasting influence, rising from a Frankfurt ghetto to shaping the financial fate of nations. Though surrounded by myths and conspiracy theories, their real legacy is built on innovation, risk-taking, and resilience. For over 2 centuries, they've remained symbols of wealth, power, and intrigue, a dynasty where fact and legend continue to intertwine.